In 2017, researcher Doug Kroll discovered an English translation of a ship's log from an unknown French sailing vessel in Nova Scotia archives. The log revealed a potential suspect responsible for one of the treasure deposits, an 18th century French admiral known as the Duc d'Anville. The log describes the discovery of a deep bay southwesterly of Chouot Bay, now Halifax Harbor, with several hundred small islands wooded to the shore. The great quantity of treasure on this vessel makes it unwise to jeopardize it in any engagement with the enemy. On September 8th, it was agreed that a deep pit be dug and treasure securely buried in the pit. On September 13th, a 67-foot pit seemed damp from SE of seawater, so they decided to go deeper to dry soil. Later, on September 10th, the Duc d'Anville's expedition to retake the fortress of Louisbourg arrived in Nova Scotia. Most of the remaining fleet was ordered to return to France, except for one unnamed ship carrying a cache of treasure possibly buried on Oak Island. Some believe that the answer lies in a connection between the Ras Khan family and the medieval order of the Knights Templar. The Knights Templar were a venerable family with roots going back to the dawn of French history. Duc d'Anville's own family had connections to the Knights Templars, who were known about their connection to Oak Island for over 100 years. Some suggest that the Knights Templar may have played a key role in the Oak Island mystery, as the medieval Christian order is best known for leading the Crusades into the Holy Land, where they are believed to have recovered large amounts of treasure and sacred religious artifacts. Researchers have identified sophisticated structures on Oak Island that may have been built by the Knights Templar, such as tunnels, underground spaces, and waterworks. These structures would have required skilled engineers, as the Knights Templar were efficient and skilled engineers. The Knights Templar, a group of European knights, were responsible for the construction and burial of vast treasure on Oak Island during the Middle Ages. This led to the theory that the Duc d'Anville and his French fleet undertook a similar expedition centuries later in September 1746. Three intriguing documents were presented to Rick and Marty Lagina and their team in 2016 by Zena Halper, who believed they had been created by the Knights Templar. One was an encoded cipher with symbols found on the 90T stone in the Money Pit. Another was a 12th century map of Nova Scotia, and a map of Oak Island dated to 1347. A key detail that stood out to the Laginas and their team was a reference to the Ras versus the family of the Duc d'Anville on the Oak Island map. The map was a gift to Francis de Racial, and they began to investigate the idea that the Racial family may have been involved in this earlier Templar voyage to the New World. In 2022, Marty Lagina, his son Alex, and Oak Island historian Charles Barkhouse traveled to Royston Cave in England to investigate the map. They discovered bricks carved in 1347, which could be a location the Knights Templar used for keeping valuables before secretly transporting them to Oak Island. The Ras versus the family crest, a symbol of the Rochefort family, is also present on the map. The larger scope of the mystery is that Duc d'Anville, a Ras cult, was mentioned on Zena's map. It is possible that there was some activity conducted on the island associated with the Duc d'Anville expedition. If the ship's logs are authentic, it is possible that they made a deposition and dug a pit to deposit treasure on Oak Island. For 228 years, the story of the Knights Templar's activities on Oak Island has survived, but the answers we don't have yet are still being sought. There are the rumors, hypotheses, and various theories surrounding the discovery of a treasure in Oak Island. It is believed that the Aztec Empire discovered Pagar clay worth more than gold in the sediment of the Mesoamericans around 800 AD. The shore shaft was the first shaft put down to establish a mine, and the Aztecs knew they could mine there. It suggests that the Aztec treasure is not located here, but rather a couple hundred yards away. The story begins with McGinnis and his friends digging at the Money Pit, where they found a platform of flat stones related to the Royal Arch of Enoch. This is believed to be a copy of Solomon's Temple and the Chambers of Enoch. Some Masonic legends say that the Ark of the Covenant ultimately found its way into the temple. The Rosal family's connections to the Duc d'Anville and the possible construction or visit to the Money Pit. Louis Alexander Rickold, son of the Duc d'Anville, is an interesting character due to his association with Thomas Jefferson and Benjamin Franklin. There is a possibility that Louis Alexander Roeff, in his friendship with Benjamin Franklin and Thomas Jefferson, may have told them of Oak Island or any secrets there. They could have used part of the treasure from Oak Island as a way to finance the war and help establish the new country. Zena Helper, a woman in New York who has been pursuing Templar research for the last 7 or 8 years. She has some interesting documents, such as a map of Nova Scotia and a map of Oak Island. The text emphasizes the importance of connecting the dots and understanding the potential connection between the Aztec and American Revolution. The discovery of a cipher in a document dated 1178 to 1180, which mentions the temple voyage to the northeastern part of America and the arrival of the temples on an island called Oak. The cipher appears to use the same symbols as the 90-feet stone cipher, which was hidden in a book. The text reveals that the cipher contains words such as greyware, gold, cephala, the site of the first Portuguese fort and factory on the east coast of Africa in 1505, and Joab, a general in King David's army who spent time in northern Africa. The map on Oak Island indicates that someone came there in 1347. It also includes French words identifying places such as basin and marsh. The map also delineates the swamp on the NL inside the island, the dam, and the oak enter here, which points to the money pit. 2 or 3 unknown things are mentioned: anchors, valve, and hatch. Zena's research is not expected to lead to answers, but her theory is unique and supported by documentation. Travis Taylor is present to discuss the findings of the cipher and the analysis of the chart. He explains that uranium was found close to the island, and when it decays, it produces radon, a valuable metal. The text concludes by expressing gratitude for the help of Travis Taylor and the support of the research team. The idea is that if there is a void under the surface over time, uranium will cause it to fill with radon gas, especially if there is no ventilation in it. Radon is soluble in most materials, and Travis Taylor provided a new perspective on finding cavities through radon testing. Travis started reading more about Oak Island and came up with his own theory as to what may have happened. He found that almost everyone involved in investigating the island was Freemasons. One of the first things that jumped out at him was Chaim Abi's Freemason drawing template, which had meanings based on astronomy. The hand of God holding a chalice, or the Holy Grail, was used as a symbol of as above so below. The Freemasons would draw maps using stars as their guide, and the star on the upper right was actually 7 stars, which resembled the Pleiades. He started thinking that archaeoastronomy might have something to do with the island. He overlaid the constellation on the island, creating a star map that led them to the point on Oak Island where the actual treasure is. Travis and Gary decided to show Travis on the island, and they found several interesting points on the island. One point had a large boulder near the lot line between 3 and 2, and another point had a stone feature with a flat side. They concluded that the stones they saw were markers put there by humans a long time ago to correspond with a star map. To further explore the possibility of finding cavities through radon testing, Travis and Gary will need to obtain corroborative information first. They will then draw conclusions based on their findings.